We want to make films that are bold, that are distinctive, that are enduring. We want to make movies that matter, and to do so in a way that really pushes animation forward in a way it hasn't been before. And so when we started developing Kubo, and at the time I was looking for something that was big and expansive and epic in nature, but was also evocative of a deep truth, something that was similar to the kind of beloved classics I loved growing up as a child, things like Tolkien or Star Wars, or some big David Lean film, something like that, which is incredibly challenging to do in the medium, but it was something that I thought if we could pull off, it would be something very special. The style of dress, the culture, the architecture, the food, the comic books, the movies, the TV shows, the music, it was all something completely different. I'd never seen it before. I'd never experienced it before. And it was really eye-opening for me, and that began my my affection, my affinity, and my admiration for the great art of this beautiful culture. And right around that same time, I was starting to get interested in animation. And so it's odd that the first film that I direct is kind of a convergence of these two things that I've loved from about the same age for the last 30 years, which is this incredible art of this beautiful culture and this extraordinary art of animation merging together. At the core of it, these things have always got to be a personal story. I think it is something of a paradox that the more intimate, the more personal you make something, the more universal it becomes. And that's certainly the case with our films and with this film here. I put more of myself in this film than anything else I've ever done. And on the one hand, as an artist, it's fairly terrifying to do something like that because it exposes you, it makes you vulnerable, and you create these things and then you lay it out for the entire world in their unsparing judgment. But that is what we have to do. If we want to tell stories of meaning, of significance, that have a real heart to them, you have to put as much of yourself in there and to be bold and fearless when it comes to creating these stories, and that's what we did here. If you're trying to make something feel like it's rooted in a real place and it's outside of your own experiences, you have to do the research. You have to do the legwork. You have to figure out, how would this, if we were to depict this accurately, what would it be like? What would this world look like? And so you end up diving into research. You work with cultural consultants. You actually do research on your own. You go to museums. You study, things like hairstyles or fabrics or metallurgy, architecture. Those are all things that you want to explore richly and deeply so that when you leave that behind, that's still there as a foundation, a real place, real experiences are part of the foundation of the film, and then it becomes something more because, at Leica, we have a multicultural crew. We have people from around the world all bringing their own experiences, their own sense of tradition, their own mythologies and folk tales. And we started a place, and in the end, it becomes something much more. It's the collection of everyone's loves and obsessions and spirit and talent that get poured into this vessel, and it becomes something else over the course of the making of it. Working as a director was unusual for me. It was a different kind of experience. We start the day where we kind of plot what the whole day is going to be. We sit down with the production team and figure out what we're going to do for the day. The director will spend a lot of time in editorial, which is the edit bay, where you're going over the shots to come. You're looking at lighting wedges from the stages. You're looking at first looks from a set. You're looking at blocks and rehearsals from animators, and then you're sitting down with your camera and lighting teams or your set dressers or your animators, launching them on the specific shots with ultimately what it has to be like. You're reviewing stuff with your visual effects department, trying to define what the look of the visual effects are for the film. So there's so many different aspects to what we do. There's really no typical day here at Leica. I had a clear idea of what this film was in my head, but it evolves. Once you have a new person to collaborate with, they have another idea, and sometimes that idea is way better than your own idea. So it's a really exciting thing to be a part of. It's really the energy, the atmosphere just really crackles with that creativity, where you're all influencing and inspiring each other, and that is one of the most rewarding and exciting parts of the process. Kubo and the Two Strings is a rollicking, rip-roaring thrill ride. It's a classic hero's journey set in a mythical version of ancient Japan. It centers on this boy, Kubo, who grows up in this sleepy shoreside village with his mom. and he's a street performer. He's a busker. He spends his days going down into town and performing shows for the townsfolk. But he's got a gift. He's got a very special gift. He's got some magic coursing through his veins. So when he plays his instrument, the shamisen, which is sort of like a Japanese version of a banjo, a three-stringed instrument, when he plays it, he can actually create these origami figures that he brings to life and puts on a show for the townsfolk, and that's how he earns his living and takes care of his mom. But Kubo has something of a mysterious past. We find out as we get into the story, and one day he accidentally causes this malevolent force to come down and come after him. We find out what's has happened in his past, and has to go on the run to save himself and his family. And so he goes on this epic odyssey, this big journey to fulfill his heroic destiny and to save his family. And along the way, he meets a couple of strange compatriots. One of them is Monkey, a savage sword-wielding snow monkey, and the other is Beetle, a brawny, oversized man bug. And together, the three of them go on this journey and try to help Kubo fulfill his quest.